now, and our panelists can vote as well. This will be live for about 40 seconds. Okay, so we are at 40, just keeping it open for a bit more. And, okay. Poll ended and sharing the results. So we asked, this was a multiple choice question. We asked what element of the new enterprise architecture is your concern for creating a productive workplace for your organization. And 54%, and this is actually the tie, 54% collaboration solutions and 54% share for secure cloud system ecosystems as well. And then we had robust network and health and safety. So great. I think this is the right thing, right? Setting the tone for our conversation. Yeah. So my first question is for Mr. Chopra. I mean, a robust digital foundation is crucial to the success of any organization today, right? I mean, in your opinion, what are the primary indicators of this strong digital foundation? Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, perfect.
Yeah, okay. So I think apart from technology, I think there are two aspects for building a strong digital foundation. I think there are the softer aspects of building a strong digital foundation, and there is the technology part. So from a softer trait perspective, I think culture is a very, very important trait. I think if you look at digital workspace, is actually a mindset. One of the most important traits of this mindset is trust. You need to be able to have trust in your employees to be able to implement a truly digital workspace. Also, you need to have a culture of more output-based performance measurement than input-based, and which also means that you need to have a very strong senior level ownership. I think there is a need to think holistically and make sure that all the tools that we are deploying are able to talk to each other, and you have a single tool as opposed to having multiple tools. Also, the strategy that we have, one of the strong pillars of this strong digital foundation is to be able to deliver this business value. If you're just kind of doing it for the heck of it, doesn't make sense. At the end of the day, it has to deliver some business value. Now, from a tech perspective, I think overall as an organization, there is a need for looking at frameworks. Okay, so we are an IT organization particularly, and to be able to implement something, to have digital at the core of what we are doing, needs very strong framework. So I think there are the few important pillars of this framework is one, I think data management. There is a lot of internal and external data that we deal with, and we need to make sure that that data is kind of leveraged properly. At the same time, it is not into the wrong hands. Okay. We need to have a strong document management tools in place, or document management processes in place. Particularly with this entire digital movement, there is a huge amount of documentation that is all digital now. So you need to be able to have processes or tools which enable you to make sure your documents are easily searchable and are secure. So you probably provide role-based access. Security, I think, is at the core of it. You need to have open APIs. I think that is one of the things that is coming out strongly is to be able to have open systems where APIs are exposed from multiple applications and the various tools are being able to talk to each other. So I think overall, technology coupled with some of these softer aspects can provide a very good foundation to implement your digital strategy. Also, I think it's important to keep it simple and overall, make sure risk, compliance, governance, etc. is taken care of.
Interesting. So the first part of it is something that specifically caught my attention, right? I mean, two important points: the people aspect, the soft aspect, culture, etc., and the top-down ownership of the digitization sort of journey. My second question is really for all speakers, and I'll start with Mr. Varelkar. I know that Mr. Varelkar might have to leave soon since you're on the road. So, with respect to business continuity, what has been your primary roadblocks in the last few months, and what role has technology played in eliminating those?
As the during the pandemic, as the lockdown was announced, you all are aware that banking didn't stop. Right. Banking had to be continued, and that was the biggest challenge because not only we were facing the March year end, but we also had to ensure that all our services, all our channels keep running, and that was the primary concern that time. So we evaluated some of the work from home products and quickly onboarded the majorly all the back office departments and support functions. We enabled quickly to allow them to work from home. Branches had to be kept open since some physical services were required. But by and large, because of the digitization that has taken place, we could offer all the retail services through most of the digital channels like net banking, internet banking, and through the apps that provide the transaction banking. So, for the there were two aspects. One is the customer service that had to be continued using the digital channels, and also at the branches when the customers were required to come and do the activities because we had set up e-lobbies, so minimum personal interaction was there, and we could continue to work. And for most of the back office functions like IT support and other risk and IS, so they continued to work from home, and that really helped because. And then we also started having all the meetings online. In fact, our board meeting also now continues to take place, though most of us have started going back to the office, but still most of our board meetings are still on WebEx and other platforms. So right. That really has helped.
Right. I think, witness to the fact that how we have quickly pivoted to this sort of new way of working is the fact that you're joining us on the road, right? And this is
and thankfully connectivity is also
helping. So that actually brings me to the second point, and something that you mentioned, right? I mean, most of the industry was already priming itself and ready to take on this new challenge. I mean, a lot of your so the banking industry, BFSI space, was working very hard to enable a digital sort of ecosystem for the past few years for a variety of reasons. Of course, reducing administrative costs is one of those, right? But that really helped the industry prime itself when this sort of situation hit. I think that's something that you mentioned, and the aspect of security, which is very, very specific. I mean, it's important for all industries, but for BFSI space, far more. So I have a question on that. We will get to you later. Mr. Shetty, bringing you in here. The same question, right? I mean, what have been your primary roadblocks over the past few months, and how has technology played a role in eliminating those roadblocks? So you're not on mute, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. So, being a technology company, I think for us with the global operation, we already were more of a digitally ready company. So in terms of our team and our operations, we were all digital right from the beginning. But the only key challenge that was is to reach out to our customers or the end users. And primarily the challenges were in the logistic part of it, because most of the products are not manufactured in the country. So bringing them to the country and then distributing in the demography of the nation was the biggest challenge. With things easing out, I think the kind of technology that was used is like ensuring the e-logistic was there. Minimal warehousing was there. Then we spread out our hubs across the nation. We were at about 7 odd locations. Then we reached out to about 18 of them. That helped us. In terms of team, I think everyone was okay being at home because none of the users were on a desktop. We all were on either the laptops or the pads. So I think that helped from the team's perspective. We always worked with the Maverick logic. So that helped us. But in terms of the last mile, the end customer, reaching to them with the digital marketing helped. There are a lot of search engines. There are a lot of digital ads that helped us keep the brand awareness at the users level. I think that was the key. In terms of the partners' engagement, yeah, we lost a lot of connect, but I think we coped up with having some kind of fun gain honor. So we hosted a lot of webinar where we didn't do any kind of sales talk. It was more of engaging because no one was ready mentally to work from home. And for a partner who used to work almost 14 hours at a store, was like sitting at home, and then we had to engage with a lot of team building activity. So I think from the application point of view, there were a lot of applications that came up within May itself. So we could engage with our partners at even remote places, Northeast or even the remote places of Kanyakumari. Most of the partners we could engage. I think challenges still exist because the internet connectivity at times, as Mr. Milind mentioned, the network is good, but at times, as Manoj mentioned, it is about the willingness, how people. So if I have a review at most of the times, the network is not good. Otherwise, the network is good enough. So it's about how you want to take the ownership. But I think the team overall did a very good job. And even if this extends, I think the team is well prepared to deal with it.
Wonderful. I mean, I think for Asus, it's a very unique position, right? I mean, the demand for laptops and personal devices would have understandably gone up, also at a corporate sort of business level, right?
Yes. Yes, it boomed our previous year's target. So this year's target was considered with the boom on it. So that's the bigger challenge now.
Yeah. And you operate on a calendar year basis, right? So
we operate on a calendar.
Yeah, so you already have your targets.
Already have a target and looking at like, should this pandemic continue or should it go away? So that's the bigger challenge now.
Yeah. But while the demand went up, meeting that from a supply side would have been, I mean, like you mentioned, like the supply chain was disrupted, both from sourcing the laptops also to distribute. Yes. Right? So that would have been. Mr. Ahujak, sir, hi.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, sir. Coming to you, the same question, and I wanted to get your perspective on this as well, right? So the primary roadblocks for the last few months, and how has technology played a role in eliminating some of those?
Right. So thanks to the panelists, you heard about banking end customer, you heard about Microsoft product development company, Asus. So technology being spoken. So we also being in the technology world, the first thing that we realized that was we were always ready for everything. But we forgot to really understand that there is a traditional company also within the technology company. So we really had to, make sure our core functions, finance, which make sure we reach out the invoices and make sure that customer commitments and contracts are taken care. The service delivery people, they were just not able to reach to the customers. And all the remote functions which used to be there needed a lot many more alignment with customers' processes, because not everything is allowed all the time. Sometimes, as Mr. Milind will know, you might want to do a lot more automation, but your data centers are hosted somewhere else. So a third part needs to be integrated to make sure your service delivery manager or your partner is able to reach that location to help and so on. So a lot more traditional part of the processes came to the fore. And while technology truly, didn't make any block for us, we were up and running, work from anywhere, and stuff like those was always there. But it really helped us optimize and improve our processes. And we use this time to really make some good creative, customer experiences. And that's something which I think many organizations also came through. That came as a good learning for us. And then we were ready from a technology perspective. Once the processes was in place, we knew what changes we need to bring. Technology was always there to help. But many of our customers did really face challenges because regulatory things don't move so quickly. When you go and talk to an insurance or a bank, it's not easy, right, Mr. Milind? They're getting a change management done. It's a tough thing. You're used to doing certain things in a certain manner. You've got to report to RBI. You've got to report to the other regulatory agencies. And even the best of the banks have not been so nice these days. They've come under the fire. It's a lot more on the process side, I think, which we learned with our customers and really helped us overcome these blocks. But technology, I think, networks have improved. A lot of security solutions are in place. A lot of virtualization solutions are in place. You've got empty choices from $1 to $100. You can choose your product and services. But in our experience, this really taught us a lot more how to integrate and a lot more how to be process, more optimized there.
Interesting. So it allowed you the time to look at your entire cost structure again, take out some of those, and from a customer viewpoint, which is a very important sort of aspect you touched upon, right? I mean, I think customers have accepted this virtual touch point a lot more now, and it's going to sort of change this behavior fundamentally going forward. That's interesting. Mr. Purkhiya, sir, coming to you, as businesses get attuned to this new normal, right? How can a 360-degree digital transformation impact them, and what are some of these crucial steps that have to be taken in this regard?
Sure. Rudru, very good question. And, I'm going to pick on what Vinay, Manoj, Mr. Milind and Atul said, right? If you think about digital, as Atul rightly mentioned, a lot of things were digital, but then, a digital company or an IT company many times forgets that they have something which is, very physical as processes, which is always there. Now think about it like this, that, if you're a car OEM and you want to sell a car, you would want the customer to come to your showroom, right? In the pandemic scenario, it was very difficult to sell the car because, the customers were not walking in. And at that point of time, since digital was not really relevant in the sales operations, what would happen is that the salesperson would want to sell, or they kind of went to a WhatsApp kind of a scenario to try and sell the car. Which was, which went all over the place, right? The customer experience was very bad at that point of time. If I just look at another angle, Mr. Milind is from a banking sector, as Atul was saying. Regulations play a huge role there. So, for example, a relationship manager from a bank who does around 56 different, transactions for the bank, they can't just, do a Zoom call or a Teams call and start doing, open, bank accounts and so on and so forth. There are many audit requirements from RBI which comes in. So while a digital channel is there, it cannot be just used, and that's where 360, digital architecture is extremely important. If I go back to what Vinay said, if you look at supply chain from an India perspective, MES CBN is not present in India at this point of time. Nobody is in the stage 3 or stage 4 of MES CBN. Everybody is in the stage 1 or stage 2, which means that you're not really looking at a multi-enterprise connected supply chain at this point of time, which is there in a European or an American context per se. So 360, always means that each part of your chain is digital, right? You can go and sell to your customers digitally. It doesn't only mean that, your employees can come to home and start working productively. If you're working productively, you have to sell that product, right? Where would you sell it if your customers you're not able to contact your customers, in case of a car? or if you're not able to sell your good because your supply chain depends on a physical mechanism, either to buy or to sell. So those are the things which becomes extremely important from a digital perspective, that you look at all the parts of your value chain and then convert it into digital wherever possible. Somewhere, the physical will also come in, and that's where the phygital way of working comes in, right? So that's what is emerging, and you could see it from everywhere, right? Everybody talked about that. Back to you, Rudra.
Yeah. So, that's interesting. So, I think retail, auto, these are sectors where this digital way of working has to be significant, right? And you want to touch and feel a lot of these high involvement products before purchasing these. Mr. Varekar, coming to one of the points that I think Rashi also spoke about, and I mentioned security, right? I mean, for the BFSI sector, that is obviously right up there. And we know, right? I mean, cyber attacks have gone up. There are a lot of reports saying that the past 9 months, there's been a sudden spike in all of these cyber attacks. So, given the concerns around these attacks and data breaches, what are some of the most significant measures you've taken for creating a secure network, as most of your consumers, your employees, everybody is sort of on an online mode of working?
Yeah, the concern for cyber resilience is heightened during this pandemic period, because there have been instances of targeted attacks. Fortunately, we have had taken already measures to protect, like the email, particularly phishing attacks increased, but we had advanced APT installed, and we also have DLP system enabled. So that really helped us in protecting the data. For the customers also, we started increasing our awareness campaigns because a lot of transaction-based frauds also started happening during the pandemic. Particularly, we saw that on UPI, the frauds were increasing. So we increased our campaigns of awareness to the customers also at that time, because it was not only necessary for us to protect our systems, but also ensure that the customers are also aware about the security measures that they need to take for their own safety, for their own transactions. So, protecting the data at the bank level was important, and we did that using a lot of technologies which I told you about, advanced threat protections, and we also had enabled the SOC services. So that is all really helping us to take the measures.
Thank you. Mr. Shetty, I want to move to a different aspect, the consumer aspect. I think you already touched a bit upon it, but for Asus, it's a consumer gadget company, right? I mean, a secure and fulfilling customer experience would be obviously one of your top priorities. I mean, what digital initiatives have you taken in this regard in the past few months? You mentioned heightened focus and spends on online sort of campaigns, right? But
yes,
if you could go into a little more detail on that.
So, just coming from the major operations which we used to do from the consumer point of view, it's the far end. So we had a couple of tires in between reaching to the end customer. So most of the activities always used to happen on the offline channel. So the ratio before this COVID stepped in, we were almost spending like 90% of our fundings in the offline channel. Now the entire 2020, it is actually reversed. So 90% has gone offline. So may it be your search engine, may it be your Insta, may it be your any other social media, that kind of engagements have increased. Even for that matter, now we want to host an exhibition, which is predominantly introducing a new product line. So once something happens at the CES, there is always a new product line that everyone is awaiting. So recently we are discussing with the CII to how to host a virtual exhibition. Okay. So that gives a larger platform for us. And to be honest, this is very interesting to be hosted because earlier if I have to do something, it would be Pragati Maidan and there would be a footfall of about 10,000, a lakh. But now with the digital space, I have almost 1 billion coming in, and not just from here, anywhere from the globe. So that actually helps us reaching to our customers. And then we don't have to segregate what kind of, if it's a retail store, then we have to have a retail branding. But now everything on the digital platform is retail. So it comes up with the additional pressure that at a digital marketing, we need to also have an e-commerce parallel. Otherwise, the product introduction is happening, but the sale is not happening. Then it just gets into the dark spot. So we had to synergize into two things: the know-how of the product. So we ensured that we had the A+ content. Luckily, for years we are doing it. So it was just bridging the gaps wherever it was not there. And also to the extent for our sales team, and they used to use WhatsApp. So they used to send out information. We used to email them. But then the kind of content that were going to the users, it was choked. Most of them didn't read it. Then we had to actually categorize based on the target audience. So in the overall learning of the digital marketing, I think the optimum came up when we actually implemented it 90% of the time. Earlier 10% was a breather, but now 90% of our activities is digital.
So from an also sort of medium that you also do that in addition to everything, this has become sort of a primary mode for communication. Great, Mr. Purkiasa, coming to you, this is a question on security. So while an organization sets up a secure network, it would also want to ensure seamless access to core enterprise applications for all employees, right? I mean, how can Tata Comms help in this regard? And this is a core area for you.
Sure. So, yes, that's something which is extremely interesting for all our customers also, that, the business applications which are there, they need to be secure. And today, as I spoke about, and also Mr. Vareka spoke about, that there's a heightened, attacks that we are seeing at this point of time. New sort of attacks are also coming in. So, for example, last Friday, to a national, asset that we have as India, which does a whole lot of transactions. I'm not sure I should say the name, but it's one of the largest thing that the government has done. It actually was attacked digitally, and the attack is a water torture attack, where you're a drip DNS attack, right? Where what happens is that even the legitimate DNS, the attack comes also from a legitimate DNS. So you're not able to kind of segregate between the known users and the attacked, from where the attack is coming in. So what it means is that attacks are getting more and more sophisticated, right? Also, what we saw in this period is that the brands are being targeted. So one of the largest brands, one of the most influential brands in India, which made scooters, their website was replicated, and you had an exact replica of their website. It impacts the brand, right? You can actually kind of go to a scenario where there is misinformation, or even a transaction from a sales perspective which is happening through that website, which will impact your brand in a very, very different manner. So whether you're talking about your vital asset of the company, which is the brand, or your business applications where you have drip DNS attack, or phishing attacks, as Mr. Vareka was talking about, where we've seen that in the dark web you have the leadership's email IDs and passwords, and you use that to do phishing attacks. It becomes extremely difficult to kind of manage in that scenario. So those are the things that we have started seeing, and we have started protecting our customers on. And if I can just tell you some stats that we've seen with our customers, we've seen around anywhere between 300% to 900% increase in the mitigations that we had to do in this period, because of the number of attacks, whether from small or large coming in, whether from specifically from government resources perspective. We are also seeing other nations attacking us, right? So that's the kind of variance that we are seeing at this point of time, which is unfortunately we've been able to kind of stop all of them. I don't think a lot of people even knew that one of our nation's assets were kind of attacked, and there was no impact on us, right? So that's where we are at this point of time.
Interesting. I mean, maybe this is not. We are live on social media, so maybe not a great place to go into details. But I would, of course, love to find out more. So you're talking about cyber warfare, cyber.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great, of course. Yeah. So we'll do our second poll at this point, and then a few more questions, and we have some questions from our audience as well that we will take it up. Just sharing the poll right now. Again, this is for 40 seconds. Our panelists can vote as well, and encourage all our attendees to vote, of course. I think a fairly even split might change towards the end. Okay, we are at 47 seconds. Just wait a bit. Okay. So here are the results. We asked which of the following IT projects will be a priority for you in the next 6 months. Transforming the network of the organization, driving cloud adoption and connectivity to major cloud providers, plugging all the security loopholes in the organization's network, IT innovations for managing changes and setting up a robust and high performance infrastructure for a flexible workforce. So 48% said the last option, flexible workforce. I think that's a hybrid workforce environment. I think is going to remain, but fairly distributed among the others as well. Okay. My next question is for Mr. Ahuja. Across the entire value chain, collaboration is key for any organization, which can be further enhanced with the right set of digital tools. How has technology helped you achieve employee collaboration for increased productivity? So you're on mute.
Oh,
I'm sorry. That's just become the quote of the season.
Absolutely, and the timing of the mute and the unmute is sometimes awkward as well. So we hosted some shows, we hosted some events. It sometimes becomes a challenge. Okay, I think this has been such a great importance in this last 9-10 months. How to make people productive, especially when you have no control with them. It's extremely difficult, when you're working from home or from some other locations or from some other places you're stuck. How do you really monitor the performance? How do you really see the productivity and so on? And traditionally, even being an IT organization providing similar solutions to our customers, not everything is designed for employees to be productive on one screen. Tired employees, very overworked up, Monday to Friday, 14 hours, 12 hours, and so on and so on. So it really posed a challenge because earlier people could just get up from the workstation, go to the next desk or next cabin, talk to the employee, ask him or her to get their work done. And now it's a pain point. So we relied on Teams. And what we did differently with Teams as a platform, Rudra and the team was, we didn't use it as just as a chat or a voice or a meeting. We consolidated it as a platform. So whether it's the apps, whether it was the Power BI dashboards, whether it was the document libraries, persistent chats, of course, online meetings, and so on, to such an extent that even our core invoicing systems and so on are now accessed from Teams. So, people are now booting to Teams and not really even booting to Windows, for example, or a Mac or whatever. and so on. And in less than 45 days, we were able to bring this together for all employees. So ranging from about 7 to 10 applications to about 15 plus applications that a different user uses, we were really making them stay on the one screen and really make effective use of the platform. To such level now that when the pandemic slightly opened up, not just in India but other countries as well. So I have fortunate to have experienced other countries also giving those experiences. This showcase of ours, of the way our employees were showing productivity, became like a selling proposition for us. And our insurance customers here in India, telco customers in Malaysia for me, a very large fintech and a retail setup in Philippines. They all really were amazed to see how productive you can do if you don't use an alt-tab button. So literally they were on the one screen with touch or with the mouse. They were really able to focus extremely well. And some of them came back and said that it single most added 30-40% productivity to people, less tired, and very, very easy to locate information from. So short answer, very long answer it is, but from a short perspective, don't just use the same tool for just because it's just a chat or this perspective. Once you stretch it out, it really gives amazing results.
It's also about habits, right? I mean, I think the first few months was really about establishing those hygiene habits. And now we are at a place, I think many of us are comfortable. I mean, I remember initially, especially in the media space and in the creative space, right, which we are in, I mean, it was really hard to understand how will this ever work. But it is working. And we've all sort of...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Adjusted to it. Mr. Purkeyastha, back to you. You mentioned that digital workplace readiness indicator in your presentation earlier. So can you elaborate how firms can use this assessment in identifying the key focus areas for 2021?
Sure. Rudra, as I said, when you think about your readiness per se from a digital perspective, right, and specifically when you think about the workplace, there are these 4 pillars, which is cloud security, network, collaboration, which comes in, and collaboration. Atul spoke quite with so much enthusiasm. Employee safety is also extremely important, right? That how do you look at employee safety and also employee productivity going forward? So in those spaces, what exactly you have done and what can you do? What we did is, with our experience in working with multiple clients and also with our discussions with thought leaders in the industry, we came up with a scoring mechanism, right, in terms of what can be done digitally in these areas, and how do you see somebody as a leader in this area? What should be the score if you want to be a leader in this area, right? And that's what we did, and you can actually go to it's a very simple 5 header and multiple questions that you need to kind of look at what your enterprise today is, and we'll tell you what's your score in individual areas and as a whole also. And you can then get some tips and pointers from what we've learned from our customers in terms of taking yourself to say a transformation or a leadership position. And that's where it kind of will bring you on a holistic picture, right? Not a single picture which kind of constricts you on one specific area, but a holistic picture which will help you, including your employee safety in terms of doing what. A few things, as I talked about earlier, we've already have, inputs from more than 250 IT leaders in this space. And that gave us further insights in terms of what else we can do. And it has also, we've got a feedback that it has not only helped them from a short-term perspective, but also has helped them to kind of rewrite their IT strategy from a mid to long-term area, right? And this is something which is extremely exciting for at least for me and the entire Tata Communications team. I'm sure you can also get something out of it. So I'll kind of encourage you to look at it and fill it up. I'm sure you'll get something out of it. Back to you, Rudra.
So this is like a best practices for the industry that has sort of been accumulated across clients. Very, very interesting. And do you also sort of provide any sort of services? How do you improve their score going ahead, maybe for the next year? In advisory or consulting?
Absolutely. So there'll be some tips which will be there, and if further inputs are required, we're always there to talk. And I'm sure they can kind of reach out to their CIO or the CXO community that they know, and they'll get some inputs on that also. But it'll give you a kind of a direction in specific areas what to do.
Wonderful. I think this is very timely. I mean, we have different work-based measures like the great place to work sort of measure. I mean, for our current situation, I think this is a great index. My last question, and before I take one or two questions from our audiences, can you take us through some of the key priorities that you have as part of your 2021 digital strategy? And this is for all our speakers. I think Mr. Chopra, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Udru. And I think for that, I think what Atul mentioned, I kind of, if you were to kind of rate or have a man of the match for the last pandemic, then I think it would be one of the collaboration tools like Teams or Zoom. I think the value that those have added and the way those have made life easier for our people, I think that has been outstanding. So. Now, also in terms of what we are planning to do, I think there have been a lot of learnings in the last 10 months or so, and what I feel is and a lot of these learnings were obviously driven from what happened due to the COVID impact. Now, I believe the model will be more hybrid now going forward than a complete work from home scenario. I think people will slowly return to work as and when the vaccines work their magic. I think more and more people will start returning to work. I think what's important for a hybrid workspace is, maybe employees should be able to walk into any workspace, regardless of location, and get to work collaborating with the team members without a lot of setup time. And I have this, famous kind of anecdote where I say that, let's say you've got a physical meeting and where few people are joining online over a collaboration tool. And let's say there's a electronic whiteboard being used by one of the physical attendees. I think the moment the physical attendee can pass on the whiteboard marker to a virtual attendee seamlessly, I think we would have kind of achieved a complete hybrid workspace. I think it's very important, where we're able to do these kind of things. Overall, I think I mentioned earlier, technology like data management, document management, cybersecurity, open APIs, I think those are going to be the important ones. I think cloud adoption is one of the things that we are looking at, and we are asking our customers, which are primarily banks, to look at as well. We have our own private cloud, and we hardly had any downtime, and we were able to manage the infrastructure really well. I think that took away a lot of hassles from our banking customers. Having said that, I think there are a lot of newer innovations that are coming up using AI, IoT, data. For example, you could have an IoT device which could understand the space utilization, and then the analytics piece can then help you provide an optimal seating arrangement. You could use chatbots, voice bots, primarily for customer support, for your employee engagement. I think those are some of the initiatives that are in the initial phases, but are yet to catch on, but they have a potential to create a huge impact. So I think net by the end of the year, I think we would have found our ground towards having a more stable digital workspace. But I think the future is hybrid. That's what I like to say.
Mr. Shetty, if you would like to add to that, I mean, this is a broad question. Really. Your key priorities as part of your 2021 digital strategy.
In terms of 2021, I think we learned a lot in 2020 already. I think either by falling or by getting up wherever we could. But in this entire process, what we feel that what we missed is about understanding the human impact on the working culture. So most of the time, what we thought is being ready to sell our products, being engaging with our customers, but have we really been able to connect with them? And that is a big subject that we still are studying. We want to reach to our partners with a conscience that we are not only engaging with them just to be a part of the sales revenue, but there has to be a holistic approach and looking at how the ecosystem is working, how they are being complemented, whether they are appreciated. Just to give you an example, we always host a lot of annual gathering, and there is a lot of accreditation and appreciation. Now, if I try to do it, I just have to send a certificate to their home, and which doesn't give that feel. How to get that connect, which is probably traditionally for the last 25, 30 years I'm watching, which peps up the person for the next year. But this year it is missing. Even for the team member, it is missing. So the technology part, everyone would take care. Security part, everyone would ensure. That is a part of it. But whether we will be able to take care of the human value of it, whether the team and the partners can be engaged more better, I think that is the key. I think with the numbers hitting last year, I think technology helped us do that. But are we distancing ourselves from the human touch of it? That is our key take from what should be there for 2021.
I think this is very nice what you mentioned, and partially Mr. Chopra also addressed it, right? A hybrid sort of culture going forward. There'll be some things that you might still need a human touch, and I don't think solutions are yet available. But
at this moment,
yeah, Mr. Ahuja, coming to you, this same question, right? Your key priorities for your 2021 digital strategy.
Roger, I think a lot has already got covered. See, this year actually did so much technology adoption. I think we've not it as well. And the same backbone, the same platform, which got used last year to address immediate business processes and immediate business pains, will show us the path to extend the same benefits to beyond processes, beyond more automation. I give you an example. As today we have not really done customer outreach program the way, let's say, Vinay articulated that now he can reach a billion people to master his product. But that's not true for many of the enterprise service providers or IT technology providers. Consumer business still would have been mastered. But how do we use our digital enablement? Because now the supply chain has integrated very well. Many more of our enterprise customers are on digital, and we are also on the digital platform. So how do we make ourselves far more relevant, far more reaching out? So those have made some changes in again our offerings and our capabilities to land. So that's number one priority that we have put together. The second big bold step that we took was that all aspects related to talent acquisition would move digital, and we strengthened our digital capabilities there. And we utilize this time even to use a lot more of AI and machine learning kind of tools to do the screenings and to do regular assessments and so on. In fact, even going to campuses where we've been doing it for the last 5 years across all the countries that I manage today, we've been able to do a complete digital platform even for the campuses. And that became a welcome change for many more students who were stuck and are still stuck at their hometowns or somewhere else, and they're not able to reach the universities and so on. Of course, we don't go to the top 5 or top 10. That's a different market. But when you look at the next layer of institutions and campuses, they don't have that kind of technology infrastructure or brand awareness and so on. So this, we feel that in the next 2-3 years, this platform will help us even in the talent acquisition and so on. Because we're seeing growth, we need to get people on and so on. This was the second big thing. And third, I think I touched, in the collaboration piece when I mentioned. So we are really taking the platform up, saying a single window like a Zoom or like a Teams, of course we use Teams a lot, is to see how I can make this the only screen and complete my enterprise workspace to manage my living and manage my time perspective. I think that's got a great potential for us to extend the digital footprint and priorities for us.
Wonderful, and the share prices of Zoom and Microsoft, etc., have really reflected that, right? I mean, the adoption and
cannot buy now. Yeah, you cannot buy now.
So, very, very interesting points. I think one of the points you mentioned, yesterday we were having another conversation similarly, and the fact that, this talent hiring, right? The fact that, this work situation allows us to explore talents, and we're not limited by geography anymore. So you might be a Delhi-based company, but you have great talent in Goa, and you can employ that guy, because anyway you're working remotely, it doesn't really matter. And especially so for the technology spaces, is what I understand. I'll just take two quick questions. I know we're running out of time, so from our audience. So the first question is from Munish. Basically, are CXOs allocating the right amount of budget for security and collaboration? What is the panel view? And I will slightly rephrase this. Going forward, do you see higher allocation for security and collaboration, given your experience of the past year? Maybe Mr. Chopra, you could take that question, and if anybody.
No, yeah, for sure. I think, and while I would probably have a different view before the pandemic, but after the pandemic, with all the learnings that we have, I don't think CXOs would or CIS would shy away from allocating the right budgets, particularly for cybersecurity and for collaboration tools. I think people have been able to see the value of these tools. So I definitely think there would definitely be a good improvement on that front going forward.
So it's the reallocation of budgets and priorities in a way as well, right? I mean, I can see many companies are looking to save on certain costs such as real estate, etc., and allocating that for these areas, which they have discovered are new priorities entirely. May not have been in the CXO's immediate radar before, a year before, right? Anything to add, Mr. Shetty, Mr. Purkeyasta, Mr. Huja? Budgets on security and collaboration going forward, do you see a major shift, a major change?
I think,
Sorry.
I think what is mentioned, I think is everyone would agree to it. And you added a valid point is the infrastructure cost has been totally, if not totally, somewhere it has been controlled. So that kind of budget would surely be translated to something else. And I think everyone would acknowledge that this is the key to do business henceforth. So infrastructure and geography doesn't matter any moment now. But yes, security certainly. So everyone would ramp up their budget for that.
Great. The last question, and this is on security, right? I mean, how are we ensuring, this is from Velu Murugan, and how are we ensuring data mobility is secured while we talk or move in digital transformation? So what I understand out of this question is basically how are we ensuring security of data in this digital transformation process? Mr. Purkeyasta, how is security of data being looked at among companies? Obviously, the priorities have gone up, but what is you spoke a lot on that already, but anything to add on this?
Sure. So, I think what Mr. Velumurugan's question is mainly to do with data in motion rather than data at rest, right? So there is a whole lot of things that can happen in terms of man-in-the-middle attack, for example, when the data is in motion, and what kind of things can be done. So there's a new concept which has come in, which is known as SASE, or you can talk about zero trust. And those kind of architectures is something which will actually help companies going forward, looking at how do you do data security across multiple areas. You're smiling a lot. What happened?
I saw the question. Sorry, there's a question in the chat which you don't have to answer, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. Anyway.
Okay, so data in motion and data at rest. So these are very different topics, and specifically if you look at the new fundamentals which have come in, which is SASE and ZTNA. If you look at them, they'll give you a kind of a blueprint for you to do exactly that in terms of ensuring that your data in motion is kind of secured. And I can speak to him separately on this. It's a very, very vast topic, of course.
Really interesting. So this is far more relevant, especially with the 5G infrastructure coming in, right? You'll find a lot more data being captured at several, telematics, cars, mobiles, etc. And how do you sort of secure that data? Great. I mean, thanks for explaining the question, because I did understand the question at the first go. The question that made me smile was, can you throw some light on the Nidhi Rajnan context? I don't know if you want to answer that, but that's the I think that's some. So what was the thing? It's essentially for cyber hacking, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, a great session. Lots of good conversation. We had one speaker who had to leave us midway, but really enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for joining in today. This is the end of our discussion, of course, and we will be back with another episode in this series. There is a survey at the end of the show for our audience. Request you to fill that. You will also be getting it on your email and also at the end window of this Zoom platform. A big shout out to Tata Communications, Mr. Purkayasta, for partnering with us for this series. This is us signing off. Stay safe and take care.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Rudra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you.
Chopra, thank you. Bye.